This is Launching Your Daughter podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Now, here is today's episode. Episode 57. Well, welcome everybody. Today I'm going to discuss one of my favorite things to do, which is sleep. Getting a good night's rest makes a huge impact on the day, how you interact with others, what you remember, your mood, and I also know this is one of the big struggles that parents and their teen daughters have over and over with getting the right amount of sleep. Various sources say that the right amount of sleep for adolescents is about 8 to 12 hours of sleep per night. On the average, most kids, at least the ones that I've worked with, they get maybe 6 to 8 sometimes hours of sleep. Part of that is due to when the school day actually starts. You know, the early days works well for adults and for younger kids because that's their natural kind of sleep rhythm, their sleep cycle. But for teenagers, that does not work well. In the book, The Teenage Brain, a neuroscientist's survival guide to raising adolescents and young adults by Dr. Frances Jensen with Amy Ellis Nutt, she talks about how studies have shown the high schools that have actually started like an hour or so later, around 8:40, 9 o'clock, grades actually improve, mood levels improve, attention spans improve, because that's more in line with the rhythm of a teenage brain, of an adolescent brain. You know, when she was younger, she'd go to bed early and she'd get up early, which is a little more in line with adult behavior. But when they move into the adolescent time of life, their brain is again changing so much with that neurological connection and all those synapses and shedding and pruning the information that they don't need. Your teenager actually wants to go to bed later and sleep later. So I know summertime is coming up. And for many adults, there's a frustration with, my gosh, my daughter, she's sleeping, 10 to 12 hours a day. She doesn't get up till 1 in the afternoon. Well, that's probably because she also went to bed at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's kind of her natural rhythm then to get up. But what we're going to talk about today is why sleep is so important for your daughter. Maybe helping her set up some ways to get more sleep so that there's also less risk of mood disorders developing, less conflicts in the home, things like that, because sleep impacts so much in our life. Dr. Jensen wrote in her sleep chapter here in the book about how if teenagers are allowed to sleep as long as they like, on average, they will sleep 9 to 10 hours per night. And then they feel more rested and things like that. When school is in session, though, they typically lose about 2.75 hours of sleep daily. And what happens is the teenage brain this is like the best time of life because they're absorbing so much new information. Their brain is really learning a ton compared to when they are adults or as we are adults. It doesn't mean as adults we can't learn, but it definitely takes us a lot longer to learn new information than as a teenager. So this is a really prime time in their life where there's just a lot of learning that goes on. And when they actually get good sleep, quality sleep, they have better memory, they have better learning, they remember the information better due to actually sleeping. And they need to get the REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement sleep, in order for that to really solidify in their brain. So one way when your teenage daughter says, I'm not tired, I don't need it, and she's trying to cram for a test, that's not the way to do it. It's reminding her, it's like, hey, if you want to do well on a test, you literally have to get a good night's sleep. She should be reviewing for the test, but not trying to cram and learn all the new information that night before the test, because that's not going to work. If she goes through and she's just reviewing the information because she's been looking at it and, doing the homework and all of that throughout the school time, when she gets a good night's sleep, the brain actually will take what she's reviewing and actually solidify it more so that she can recall that information the next day. And so that's what you're trying to encourage her to do, is to review the night before, but really getting a good night's sleep. The other thing about getting a good night's sleep, it also helps with eating patterns. When we are sleep deprived, even as adults, right, it impacts what we actually eat. A lot of times people will go for sugary items, salty items, fast food items because they're craving carbs or different things because they haven't gotten a good night's sleep. So you're also trying to let them know that having that good night's sleep not only helps them with their confidence level regarding test taking and just life in general, but it also helps with their eating habits too. Dr. Jensen wrote that, quote, scientists have calculated that the average adolescent actually requires 9.25 hours of sleep. And she goes on to say, but only about 15% of all American teenagers actually get that much sleep on a regular basis. Worst, most American teens sleep fewer than 6.5 hours a night, end quote. That's a big difference. And again, it's going to impact what they're going to remember. It's going to impact her mood level, her tolerance level for conflicts. And that's where a lot of family conflicts happen, is somebody's usually tired and or hungry, and it impacts that dynamic between it. One thing that I encourage, not only for the teen girls that I work with, but also the parents, is creating good sleep hygiene. And what I mean by that is creating a sleep ritual, a sleep routine at nighttime. So that means, there's no TVs in the bedrooms, there's no cell phones in the bedrooms, there's no computers in the bedrooms. The odds that your teenage daughter is going to be texting at night is pretty high. Even, I know some of the girls that I work with are like, nope, they don't even pick up their phones at night, which is great. If you think that your daughter is, I would encourage you to say, hey, past this time frame, about an hour or so before they actually go to bed, have all electronics out there with you, the parents or the caregivers. It decreases that temptation. I know there are times where girls, they have texted friends at 2 or 3 in the morning because they woke up and then they were thinking about something that happened the day before, or they were worried about what was going to happen the next day. And that causes sleep deprivation, which again decreases their ability to manage conflicts in the following day. They get into more conflicts with their parents. So creating a sleep routine, really good hygiene, means they're reading, maybe drawing, journaling, doing something low-key. The lights are turned down about an hour before they go to bed so that they get their circadian rhythm into this routine of, hey, it's nighttime outside. We're going to go to bed soon so I can get some sleep. When they're on their phone, it actually wakes the brain up. It actually shuts the melatonin down, which impacts that circadian rhythm in their brain. So part of having good sleep hygiene is you're doing low-key activities, right, prior to bed so that it tells the brain it's now time to actually sleep. If they're watching I'll say like if you're watching a show or a movie you've never seen before, the odds are your brain's going to get really engaged in it, right? And when that happens, you're waking yourself up and you're wanting to know, how is this going to end? What's going to happen next type of thing, which is not conducive to getting a good night's sleep. I know for some folks, they really enjoy, maybe having some aromatherapy in their room. They may spray some lavender on their pillows or in their bedroom, or put some jasmine in there. Maybe they have some herbal tea before they go to bed because that helps them relax. Again, non-caffeinated drinks to help them wind down at night. This is important for you too, parents. Being able to have that sleep routine helps keep the sleep cycles more consistent. The number of hours you're going to get at sleep at night, and then maybe the depth of it. There's going to be times where, especially for moms, if you're in the perimenopause or menopause state, that you will wake up, you may have hot flashes, things like that, and that's part of it. And you may need to chat with your doctor about that to work on that. Really trying to role model you are doing what you can with keeping the electronics out of the bedroom as well, so that you can get a good night's sleep, so that you can have better interactions as well with your daughter. They also see that. It's remembering, right, your teenage daughter, she's watching what you're doing. It's not about perfection, but it's role modeling to her, hey, just because I'm an adult and I may wake up earlier because my body is different developmental stage than yours doesn't mean you can't role model good sleep hygiene. Studies have shown over and over that with lack of sleep, physiologically, and Dr. Jensen writes this in her book too, it can impact, again, poor sleep patterns or poor sleep can impact skin conditions, eating too much or too little, injuries, actually it raises injuries in sports activities. There's a rise in blood pressure. You can have more illnesses because your body's not getting the rest that it needs to. If you've worked out, it's got to break muscles down and then build them back up. And part of that happens during the sleep cycle. For teenagers, again, that lack of sleep can impact, aggression levels. It can impact impulsivity, low self-esteems. I see a lot of times girls when they come in and I'm exploring kind of their sleep pattern with them, they have low self-esteem. They may have mood swings. And once we get everybody kind of on board with, encouraging the parents to try and help them get a good night's sleep and consistent in the sleep cycle, I watch the mood levels change. It impacts, again, lack of sleep impacts learning, the problem-solving skills, creativity, increases forgetfulness. I know the parents that I work with, when they're really stressed out, they're shocked because they're like, I don't understand why I'm not remembering stuff. When your stress is up and you're not getting good sleep, it is going to impact your memory. So getting a good night's sleep is not just important for your teen daughter, it's also very important for you parents and caregivers to be able to have that as well. If your teenager is getting a good night's sleep, and they are still so fatigued, exhausted, and they're like, man, I'm going to bed at 8 o'clock and I'm waking up at 6 and I just can't seem to get up, take them to the doctor. Rule out that there's any other medical issues going on, whether it's thyroid issue, vitamin D issue, or there's something else that you may not be aware of. Go to the doctor and get some of those medical things ruled out. And then it's looking at if everything comes back good, maybe talking with the doctor about what's going on and what else you could do to help your daughter with the amount of fatigue that she has going on. If your daughter struggles with maybe organizational skills, helping her kind of create a structure around organizing the homework that she has, organizing what she can do in that night versus maybe later in the week type of thing can help get her stress level down if she's open to you helping her with that, so that she also, again, starts to feel she starts to master how to organize the tasks that she's required to do for school, and maybe there are things at home that she needs to do. Helping your daughter feel like she understands how to organize her time for both schoolwork, home life, things like that, can also help you as parents or caregivers to stay organized too. When we feel organized or kind of have a system in place, that helps decrease the stress level, which then helps encourage healthier, sleep patterns at night. If you're really stressed out over and over and over every single day, your quality of sleep can actually go down, because what we call in the therapy world is you ruminate, meaning those thoughts go over and over and over in your brain saying, oh, I need to stress out about this, or oh, I didn't handle that, conflict so well with my friend or loved one. And being able to have some of that structure and organization in place and knowing that you're doing what you need to do really encourages more healthy sleep patterns at night as well. One thing that can also help, right, they talk about a lot, and I know I've talked in other episodes, is taking a walk outside. When you're in a busy city setting, your brain actually doesn't get to relax nearly as much because it's on alert for cars, pedestrians, things like that. Whereas if you're just taking more of a leisurely walk and you're being mindful in that and you're in nature, you actually become more relaxed and calm. Our bodies need that moment of calmness, that moment of relaxation, whether you can take naps, take a walk in nature, maybe do some yoga. That helps during the nighttime when it becomes a sleep cycle, because your brain has had moments where it's, I got to breathe and do a little bit of downtime. So I hope some of these tips have helped. And I also hope that, some of the explanation of why your teen daughter, I know for some families or parents, they call their kids like vampires because they want to stay up at night. it's really being able to look at it's normal for their age. It truly is. The way their brain is developing, that sleep cycle turns for them, and where they want to stay up more at night and then they want to sleep during the day. Unfortunately, many of our schools here in the US are just not designed for that. And it's nothing to panic over if they want to do that, but you're really trying to help them succeed by creating sleep routines, good sleep hygiene, as I call it, so that they learn to their best ability. They can kind of keep their moods and conflicts a little more in check because they feel more well rested, and they're not, impacting their health for the future because they're actually getting the sleep that they need. And parents, this also goes for you too, because sleep does impact you as well. So I hope you found these tips helpful, and I encourage you to go out and sign up for my newsletter at launchingyourdaughter.com. And I look forward to next week's episode and seeing you then. Thank you for listening to Launching Your Daughter with Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. For more information or to stay up to date, go to launchingyourdaughter.com. You can sign up for my email list or join my Facebook group. Thank you.